For today's lesson, we're going to focus on compound subjects. Your I can statement is I can identify compound subjects within a sentence. In this statement, the word compound is telling us that there's going to be one on top of another, meaning there's going to be more than one, and we're given that clue too where it says subjects here. Here's an example of a compound subject within a sentence. Minneapolis and St. Paul are called the Twin Cities. Minneapolis and St. Paul are called the Twin Cities. Okay. Now, if we separate this sentence into part of it being our subject and part of it being our predicate, then our separation would actually happen right here. On the left side, we have our subject, and on the right side, we have our predicate, our complete predicate, which also has our verb. Our verb in this sentence is are called. It's two words, a little word group. Called is the action that's happening, and are is being used as a helping verb here. So together, this is the verb of our sentence, or the predicate, the simple predicate. And on the left side, we have our subject. In this case, it's subjects. We have more than one, so it's a compound subject. Minneapolis and St. Paul together make up our compound subject. The sentences we focused on in the past have only had one subject, and now we're moving on to more than one. So here's another example. Will Mrs. Jones and Mrs. Lopez chaperone our field trip? Will Mrs. Jones or Miss Lopez chaperone our field trip? Okay, if we find our verb is chaperone. It's an action verb. So right before that, we are going to draw a little line here to separate our subject from our predicate. So our verb is chaperone, and that is our simple predicate. And then on the left side, this is where we have our subject again. So we have more than one subject because we are wondering about who's going to chaperone the field trip. Will it be Mrs. Jones or Miss Lopez? So together, Mrs. Jones or Miss Lopez is our compound subject. They are our compound subjects. Let's do one more example. Flutes, clarinets, and oboes are all woodwind instruments. Flutes, clarinets, and oboes are all woodwind instruments. Okay. Again, I can separate this sentence right before the verb, which is are. Okay, this is a linking verb. There's no action really taking place. It's just giving us more information about our subject. So if we look to the left, we see our subjects here. We have flutes, clarinets, and oboes. This time we have three different subjects making up our compound subject. Flutes, clarinets, and oboes. And what do they all have in common? They're all woodwind instruments. Looking back at the last example, what do Mrs. Jones or Miss Lopez have in common? Well, we're wondering which one of them are going to chaperone our field trip. And then Minneapolis and St. Paul, what do they have in common? They're both called the Twin Cities. So in all of these cases, they are sharing the verb. Okay? Now, normally in our in our sentences that have a compound subject, the sentence or these different subjects are joined together using a conjunction. Most times that conjunction is the word and or. So we've used and we've used and again here. Excuse me, and we've used and again here. So they are, let's do a star here, connected, or excuse me, let's write it like this. Compound subjects are connected in a sentence using a conjunction. Okay. And normally those are and or. There are others that can be used as well. Okay. All right, I'd like you to practice a couple this time. We haven't done this yet, but I'm trying to see if I can make your lessons a little bit shorter and still include a little bit of practice. So I want you to have these answered for tomorrow. I'm going to write a sentence and I want you to underline the well, let's circle since we've done that at the top. I want you to circle the compound subjects of the following 3 sentences. The first one is wild ducks and geese migrate south each year. Wild ducks and geese migrate each year. Okay. All right, and again, I want you to circle the compound subjects. Okay, here's another one. Stars and planets form a galaxy. Stars and planets form a galaxy. Okay. All right, and the last one. In the Tower of London are famous jewels and crowns. In the Tower of London are famous jewels and crowns. Okay, I'm going to put a little star next to number 3 because it can be a little bit tricky. It's not exactly following the same pattern that we've done before. All right, I hope you have a really good night. Make sure these 3 are done. Take just a minute or 2 to do those, and we will check them tomorrow when you come to class. Have a great night.